geekdown.com.
Sweet. Hey, I'm Pat B.
And I'm Adam.
And you're listening to the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio. I love when that comes in, man, because the mellow is tight. Jazz the funky. You know why? Because I'm loaded up on hot cocoa and salt, my friend. Give me a second. Loosens the flesh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Geek Down here on WEMF. I am Pat B. In the house. Well, look to my left, my homeboy supreme, my Batman to my Robin. I was gonna say like my Sandy the Golden Boy. Yo, Black Adam Willis.
One of the Golden Girls. Yeah, I got you. I got to appreciate you bringing in this hot cocoa because this is saving my life right now.
Much appreciated.
I really do.
It's all good, man. I'm trying to look out for my people. Mm-hmm. And the peoples I'm talking about is look around the table across to Kaiser Soze.
Pat, what's up? Adam, what's up, y'all?
Oh, what's going on, man?
I've missed y'all.
Hey, I missed you too, man. For real.
Welcome back. Notice you lost that limp.
Yeah.
Right. Smoke a pack of cigarettes, fine, yeah.
All right, of course. Now look across at the man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. I'm talking about Just Johnny.
Yep.
Hey, what's going down, man? Keeping us looking amazing. And by looking amazing, I mean if anyone's not up on the Twitch stream, you can catch us live at twitch.tv/thegeekdown. We are live and direct tonight. And also, I'll run down the rest of the social medias, but just know we're on SoundCloud, we're on iTunes, Instagram if you want to see our pretty faces, YouTube, all that good stuff, and you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
It's a long list now.
Yeah, man, adding to it every day. I'm liking it.
Right.
I'm okay with that show. Exposure is a good thing. Yeah. All right, now look at the booth. The silent but deadly as always. DJ Herbie Herb, what's going down?
How's it going? Geek Down.
Man.
Is that his voice?
That's nice.
That sounded good, Herb. You need to talk in that mic more often.
No, don't encourage him. He'll never leave. All right, so we have an action-packed, fun-filled show for you. The news isn't all happy. It's kind of weird at times, but I'm going to jump right into it because it's poignant.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll start off with the sad one because, dude, this one I think we needed to cover because it's not specifically geek news, or entertainment news, but this man's influence on entertainment and history alone, on science fiction alone, pretty much has made our entire careers, lives, and, just legacies.
All right.
I'm talking about John Glenn. Astronaut John Glenn. Anyone who doesn't know, where the hell have you been? That is the most un-American. Yo, lock the door. No, I'm kidding. I'm talking about John Glenn, the first American to orbit Earth. He's died at age 95. Now, in 1959, anyone who doesn't know, the Mercury 7 was a group of military test pilots selected to be the first astronauts. John Glenn was one of those. Like one of the very first ever. Then in 1962, he flew the Friendship 7 mission and became the first American to orbit the Earth completely. Glenn was the last surviving member of the original Mercury crew. What's up, guys? You good? Yep. All right. But Glenn basically outlived them all. He would later have a long political career in the United States Senate and made history again in 1998, flying aboard the shuttle Discovery. Which made him the oldest person in space. 77 years.
Right.
77 years old.
Yeah.
The balls on that man.
Hell yeah, man.
The low-hanging balls on that man.
I think what was the things I heard about him too is like right before he left, he's like, "I'll be right back, dear," is what he told his wife. He's like, "I'll be right back," and she's like, "Yeah, you better be." You know what I mean? It was just like this kind of this small scale thing they did for one another. You know what I mean? Just because he was taking apart like this big deal, like going into space, but he was like downplayed it very much when he was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go away for a little bit."
He's not gassed on himself. He's
exactly,
just like, hey, honey, I'm going out for some cigarettes. You want anything?
Pretty much is exactly what it was.
All right, so John Glenn, what I know him for mostly is military service and all that, but he would make appearances, and he became much the face of the aerospace program, and for the possibilities. And this is where I get a little grandiose. I'm not going to do the voice. I'm gonna do the voice.
You sure?
The possibilities of mankind.
There it is. Yeah.
It's awesome, dude, because this is somebody who's like left the planet. That's big to me.
Twice.
Twice.
Yeah.
He's
That's an old man too.
An old man.
And like physical proof that there is more out there. You can touch it. You just gotta, do the right things in life. Not eat cheeseburgers like I've been doing. But you can make it out there. Like that's possible. And that's like you've heard the names like Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin. John Glenn is one of those names. Michael Collins too, for those who thought I was just,
And did they do the right
didn't
stuff?
know.
That was him too, in that, right?
Yeah, I was. You see why I miss y'all? Because I was gonna say, I think he was a consultant on it.
Right, and,
Yeah.
but they played like one of the guys going to space was
Yes.
based on John Glenn, right?
Right.
Yeah, that was him. So
I loved how he also brought awareness to it by doing appearances on like TV shows. You know, he did a lot of news coverage, the Tonight Show, like 5 times, and I got to know this dude because he was a personality to me. He wasn't just a name in a textbook.
Right.
You know, my favorite bit. It's almost 20 years old now. I think it was in around 98, 99. He did. 99. He was in space. Forget it. It must have been 98. But he did a spot on Frasier as himself. Reading, he was narrating a radio show, but he was reading this bit about space travel. I'm just like, yo, that's deep, that's tight. And then he played the rest for laughs, and I'm like, this dude has a sense of humor too. That's
he's the man for sure.
Yeah. So John Glenn has passed away. John, you're with Yafisan over there, man. Do you have any memories of the spaceman himself?
Yeah, I remember me and him going out for a few shots on a Saturday night.
Okay,
it was fantastic.
All right, but
who played him in? I mean, I'm still going back to the right stuff. Who played him in that movie? Was it
Duvall, right?
Was it Scott Glenn?
Wait, it was a relative?
No, I can't remember who. I can't.
But
it
it was based on the movie, but the right stuff. It was about the first people that went into space and everything like that, and it was
Clint Eastwood, Robert. Duvall.
No, that was the old folks movie.
Gotcha. My mistake.
Right Stuff was with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, there's a bunch of it was basically a bunch of young people. You know what I mean? Like trying to go into space, and it was like that the beginnings of like sending people out there, and it was like, who's dumb enough to do this? You know what I mean? And they would find these test pilots, you know what I mean? Because like the death rate was crazy then, you know what I mean? It's like these people are going like X amount 1,000 miles an hour, you know what I mean? And it was just so absurd to think, you know what I mean, to go this fast, let alone, go into space. And then they drafted a bunch of these guys to do these tests, and then they sent them into space. But John Glenn was one of those guys, you know what I mean? An absolute hero, basically, is what he was, and he should be remembered as such. But it was a very crazy time that he lived in, just sending these guys in these rockets that they didn't really test fully, you know what I mean? Let's just send you to the sky and let's see what happens. And that was
shoot you on a mini bomb that'll go 800 miles an hour.
Right. Yeah.
I'll do that.
Well, they're hiding behind like a cement wall, exactly.
It's
but
like, why do you get got? I know.
Yeah. So this was then, you know what I mean? And so this was he's like I said, an absolute American hero. This is crazy that he went through that and obviously became a senator after, which is nuts. So
yeah.
Yep.
And what I can't imagine is we know him as John Glenn. I'm a distinguished senator and I'm a personality. I represent NASA. Back then, he was some crazy dude. We're gonna go on these flights, man. And we're going to town, get some chicks. Like, John, rein it in.
Get the buzz cut. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so
that was it, man.
Senator, astronaut, American inspiration and hero, John Glenn. Rest in peace.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the next news story we have is on a bit of a different keel. The wife of legendary comics writer Dwayne McDuffie wants to ensure his legacy. This is one I actually thought we should cover because it's not specifically news where something happened per se. It's just something that's good to have awareness of, especially if you're a comics fan, if you're a supporter. And Dwayne McDuffie himself was one of the most influential, at least for me, figures in comics of our lifetime.
Really?
Yeah, because he wasn't just a writer. He wasn't. I mean, not for like just comics and TVs. He was also an entrepreneur who founded his own company and created a lot of characters that we know today. Not just characters, but like characters of color. We have characters like Static Shock. We have characters like Icon. Like some of the lesser known ones, but still like Static Shock is up there.
Yeah, he's there.
But no, this dude was big, and he did a lot of stuff that people have no idea. Creator of Ben 10.
Oh, wow.
Ben 10.
Yeah.
Huge series towards the end of his life. Not that he knew that's what it was. But huge series, just a random idea. Yeah, this would be good kid show, and made it, and it became huge. Thing. Several movies. 3 different iterations of the TV show, all because of this one man. Milestone Comics is the company I'm talking about, by the way, if anyone's unfamiliar. But dude, honestly,
And so his wife's trying to.
Yeah.
Further along, okay.
I'm glad that his legacy created things like scholarships, awards,
Really? I didn't actually know that either.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff under the name Dwayne McDuffie. And what his wife is trying to do now that he's passed, Dwayne McDuffie passed in 2011, kind of like suddenly.
So there's like a Dwayne McDuffie like scholarship and everything like that you receive?
Several, yeah.
Wow.
And his wife is starting a fund now. You can actually donate to the GoFundMe. She's starting a fund to maintain those, to get them to be self-sufficient.
I gotcha.
So like I said, if anyone who doesn't know, Dwayne McDuffie was an American comic and writer, TV writer, known for creating the animated series Static Shock, writing and producing the animated shows Justice League Unlimited and Ben 10, I mentioned, and co-founding and pioneering the minority-owned and operated, that's the biggest part for me, minority-owned and operated Milestone Media. So he passed in 2011. Basically, get yourselves checked out.
Milestone Media.
Several awards and foundations have since come under his name, and his widow, Charlotte McDuffie, is she's launched a crowdfunding campaign on GoFundMe to start the Dwayne McDuffie Fund. That's what it's called. Now, rather than promote the individual, this will keep those different awards and things alive. So after she passes too, she didn't want to just die out.
Right, of course. No, that's great.
I like this concept, dude, because not enough people think, people think so-and-so represents blank. You know, this is important for this. And then, okay, cool, those need money to run.
I'm just trying to think of, like, how does the money go to, like, fund those? Is this for 1 year? Like, you know what I mean? Is, like, they want to keep it going, but, like, where does the money come from,
you know? The fund as an organization. So this will be essentially a company, like a charitable company itself.
Okay.
But instead of doling out we're taking your money and giving it to a kid in Africa, somewhere we're building a school in Dubuque in a low-income neighborhood, something like that. This is the company will send funds that it brings in directly to these other organizations. So
I get you. Okay.
This company funds this scholarship. This company funds this award, which keeps, which in itself awards money and jobs to people who wouldn't really have a chance to work in those industries.
Show some promise, you know what I mean? Like, good with the pen, anyways.
I like the concept, though. It's like corporate funding for charity versus corporate funding for greed.
Which is how I associate it with, of course.
When I think corporate funding and greed, I think Adam Wilson.
As you should, Is there another kind? I don't know.
Is there another kind? Please, this man is Gordon Gekko personified.
I got the cell phone to prove it.
Really? You got that big ass joint with the.
Yeah,
it's a cell phone with a hand crank.
It's a land wire phone now. Sit at the house in the living room.
I got 14 seconds of battery left. Somebody find me a diesel. It runs on diesel.
Yeah.
All right. So if anyone wants to know more about the fund and support it, you can go to GoFundMe.com /Dwayne McDuffie Fund. McDuffie spelled McDuffie. So GoFundMe.com.
Sounds like a Boston guy.
It does. Nah, black dude. Extra Irish name.
Yeah.
What I'm a little upset is one of his boys that I worked with a lot was Matt Wayne, and they never at any point called themselves Dwayne Wayne. Combo. It would have been perfect.
Oh my god,
so perfect.
It's a missed opportunity right there.
That's hilarious.
Absolutely.
That's hilarious.
All right, so we do have one more news story before we jump into our reviews, and we have reviews out the walls, y'all. But this one, okay, first of all, Herb, do you know who Susan Olsen is? Does that name sound familiar?
Sounds familiar, but I can't place the face.
All right, if I went dun 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 dun.
No.
Okay, all right.
One more hint. It's well, this one in particular is not a story of a lovely lady, but she had pigtails.
In curls.
Pigtails and curls, yes.
Pigtails and curls, and she was a crappy blonde, and her.
That could be anybody in my life.
Who is
it? Perfect. Yeah.
Adam Willis letting us know how he really feels, first of all.
Yeah.
All right, that was Susan Olsen, also known as the actress who played Cindy on the Brady Bunch, the youngest daughter.
Well, Cindy was the youngest.
Oh,
daughter,
the youngest.
Yeah, she was the kid.
Oh.
And she has also been fired after an online spat with a gay actor. Her spat became hate speech.
Right.
Now,
she said a bunch of nasty things too. You know what I mean? And it's kind of news stories like this that kind of make me nervous because I don't want to get into politics. I don't want to get into any of that stuff. We're like an entertainment show, and we try to keep it light. And that's kind of the point. But
It's always a minefield, but when this involves like classic actors that we knew,
right,
growing up,
and it's important. But what she said is absolutely stupid too. What did she say about the mutually exclusive, like liberal and
Liberal and patriot are not mutually are mutually
are
exclusive.
mutually exclusive,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So basically, you can, if you're a liberal, you're probably not a patriot. Like, what the hell kind of?
Yeah, right. Which is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life. Because I always, but at the same time, I always assumed, the GOP and bigot were kind of the same way, right? So,
And
I don't know. Maybe I'm the same boat on the other side of it, but
Well,
personally, like patriotism spooks me out. So in general, like it could be for anyone.
when I was that,
Well, if you really want to know, like I went to see a play many years ago back in college, and it was a story about a family at a dinner table, and they were having this long conversation, and the father kept getting at his son about patriotism. His son didn't want to join the service, and his family had been a part of the service, blah 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 blah. And you had a feeling like it was back in the day, but you kept thinking that it was Americans. And then his son got up, left the table, blah, 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 and his wife was getting at him. And then when the father went into his room and came back out, he was in like a full Nazi uniform.
wow.
And I was like, wow, that it was. Ever since then, I've been like, yo, it just kind of, when you think
Right,
about
wow,
it, they were super patriotic. So
yeah,
you know,
damn, all right.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm it's kind of wrong to say. I'm kind of glad that's where the story went. I thought you were
Right.
describing Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No.
3.
No.
like when he got up, he
No,
stopped
no.
some little girl in the
Bring
corner.
it.
Like,
bring it. Nah,
dude,
nah.
that's wild. But no, I get that though. The sense of patriotism can be overbearing,
Right.
and there are people that take it way too seriously.
Right.
yes.
People like apparently Cindy Brady, who's lost her damn mind.
Yeah.
Now, what actually happened is there was an actor, Leon Whiting. Oh, excuse me, sorry. You're burping on the radio. That's fantastic. Very professional. Leon
Famous Pat
Accord
burp.
Whiting. Infamous.
The infamous pepper.
Criticized Olsen after he was a guest on her LA Talk radio show, Two Chicks Talking Politics.
Was that what it's called, dude?
That is what it's
Yeah,
called.
right. Yeah.
That's what it's called. It
Two
wasn't
chicks
the
talking
transcriber.
politics is what the
That's
show
So
what
they
is
got
called.
these
Yeah.
broads that talk about stuff on the radio. What is it, Herb? It's like it's just like. During the show, Olsen made comments such as the one we just talked about: being a liberal and a patriot are mutually exclusive. Thinks Hillary Clinton is causing the protests and hate crimes that the country is dealing with now. Things like the Quran is a political tract, etc. And all this offended Accord Whiting, an openly gay and proud American actor. Proud liberal American actor. After the show, he took to Facebook to accuse Olsen of spreading outrageous information.
Or one goes to air that stuff out now.
Dude, seriously, man.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Real talk.
Yeah.
Real talk.
I feel like in the next few years, we'll start seeing tweets entered into encyclopedias as actual references.
You're not wrong, my
man.
friend. It's happening. Yeah.
Mostly for quotes and stuff, but yeah.
Mhm.
So-and-so said this. Check out Tequila's reaction.
After the jump, yeah.
Sorry,
It's like
he
the
does.
worst place to cite people is the internet, and now I
That's
don't know.
everyone gets their internet. Everyone
The
gets their
internet gives
information
awful
from.
people a forum. The problem
Yeah.
is we had no idea how many awful people there were out there until the internet gave them a forum.
Right.
It started off with anonymity for everyone, and now that there's faces literally on people and they have their own profiles, they forget that they no longer should abide by the anonymity, and they forget to filter themselves, so they just continue to speak their mind. I'm going to go on tirade, so continue.
No, okay. You can read all about Just Johnny's beliefs on corporate America.
Oh,
That's-
man.
We'll give out that link later after we obfuscate the link. Okay, so
Speaking of anonymity.
what Whiting actually wrote was, it is wildly irresponsible for LA Talk Radio to allow a Trump fanatic to co-host one of their programs. I think LA Radio needs to give Cindy Brady her walking papers. Cindy Olsen spreads outrageous misinformation, and it is dangerous and unprofessional. Now, Olsen allegedly sent him a reply back on Facebook, which he then screenshotted and posted before anything could be deleted and such, saying, let me see if I can do the Cindy Brady list.
Now we have a
Hey,
picture
there,
of Cindy
you have
on
a-
Twitch,
Oh,
right?
jeez.
This is the right picture.
That's her.
So just imagine
Oh,
this little girl
Oh, that's
What
so
is
bad.
She
saying
was
what
so
Pat is
cute.
about to say.
Yeah, man, this
Such a
little
cute
girl.
kid.
Hey there, you little expletive for vagina. Let me get my big boy pants on and really take you on. What a snake in the grass you are, and lying piece of expletive for doo-doo. Too cowardly to confront me in life, so you do it on Facebook. You are the biggest expletive for a gay person ass in the world, and the biggest, again, expletive for vagina. My dick is bigger than yours, which ain't saying much. What a true piece of expletive for doo-doo you are, lying expletive for gay person. I hope you meet your karma slowly and painfully.
And she also called him
Wow.
Nadalus. You know,
The what? I'm sorry.
Nadalus.
She's got
Hmm.
Which it took me a while. I was like, wow, this is like 1992 surf terms. You know,
Want to break it down for our young audience?
no.
Yeah, good call.
All right. So what I love about
Oh,
this is,
Cindy.
well, LA Talk Radio immediately afterward announced that Olsen had been fired.
Sorry, lady.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what she was more upset about because it seemed from her comments she was upset that he didn't. I guess I haven't heard the
Actual radio
like
talk
the
clip.
like the interview, so I don't know if he brought up any of the things to her in person. That seemed to be part of what she was saying, but at the same time, I always find it weird when people get mad and then all of a sudden, like instead of being mad about the issue, they all of a sudden break out a whole bunch of racial crazy,
Yeah, where does that come
like
from?
where does that
Well,
come
I just
from?
find it weird
know?
that people bring up certain issues and then mad when people like differ in opinion. Well, you're bringing up a
Right.
very controversial topic, and then really mad when you have a guest that doesn't agree with you, and all of a sudden you obviously
They had to have known
revert
that
to.
he was of the opposite opinion when he came
Of
on the
course,
show.
of course, exactly. And then like even if you weren't sure, you know what I mean, that's still a guest on your show. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then it's still like a person that you're responsible for almost, you know what I mean? And then you have to have some there's a part of you that breaks that off. And obviously to revert to the personal attacks, but just to assume that that's popular speech, you know what I mean, is beyond the pale. She should have been fired, yeah. And she's just, oh my God. I didn't know she was working. I didn't heard anything about this radio show before.
Thought she was dead. Maybe
Yeah.
born. But what I'm
Thought you- yeah,
It's
thought
like,
you
come
were-
on, how are you like? Come on, your dad was gay, like on the show. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, what are you talking about?
What was his name? Robert Reed, was it?
Mm.
I can't remember, but yes, I think that is it.
Mhm.
But
But
like, come
yeah, notoriously closeted actor who,
Yeah.
like their backstory. Well, we talked about this actually when we covered the death of
Yeah.
of Carol Brady.
Yep.
Yeah.
which was not that long ago.
Oh.
It was like 2 weeks ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Cindy
It's,
Brady
it's a
lost
tough
her damn
it's a
mind.
tough couple of
Tough
weeks for the
time
Brady bunch,
Brady's,
right?
yo.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who knew? Who knew?
Well, I don't know. Peter
Oh
Brady
my
got his
God.
for a while.
Yeah.
Dumbass pigtails. Hate that photo. Take that photo. Over.
It's gone, man. No more pigtails.
That damn
It's all
pigtail
gone.
All right. Well, on to happier news or happier events. We
It's a
got-
story of a racist lady. Yeah. That's how it's gonna go. Oh.
Okay.
That's so bad.
All right, there was a movie, a certain motion picture, that's going to be released fairly soon. We got our hands on it a little early. It's called Me, Myself, and Her. Who got to check this out in the house? Let me just
Me.
myself, this gentleman here.
Yes.
Mhm.
I didn't see this one. No.
Adam, I can see this one. All right, but it is me and you. To anyone who's unfamiliar, Me, Myself, and Her is the story of a lesbian couple in the midst of a I wouldn't call it a spat per se. They're just in a moment of romantic tension.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like a middle age where, this is getting stale, what am I doing? And they were super comfortable with each other.
Yeah,
type of a
I got
spat
the sense
thing.
that
Yeah.
I thought for a while it was trying to portray that this is a relationship just like any other relationship and the
Right.
normalcy of it.
Right.
And I guess technically, in the overall, that is what it was.
Very much so.
Even though it's an alternative relationship, they still have the same problems that other people do. And I thought it was portraying, well, one of them's a curmudgeon, and one of them's kind of, a little more loose in their day-to-day routine. And then it kind of hit the fit hit the shan when one woman starts questioning her own orientation and meets up with an old boyfriend and things happen, and then the struggle between them, and I'm just like, yo, this kind of took a turn. That's not the happy flighty movie I expected. What's going on? And what's messed up is like it hit a little close to home. You know, I've been in these situations before, and romantic tension is tough. Mostly I can say is, well, one, I also didn't expect it to be in Italian.
Yes, because I looked it up. I thought it was German,
Mhm.
and then when I heard them speaking, I said they're definitely not speaking Spanish. It sounds like Italian to me.
Mhm.
And then I looked it up again, and apparently it's German, but it was shot in Italy and obviously recorded in Italy,
Oh, that's
in
why.
like in Italian.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. The story itself is about a married couple. One of them is a former actress. The other one is a working architect. So you have somebody who's used to being in the public eye and used to getting a lot of attention, and one who's used to leading a very private life. It's their relationship, their family's interaction with their relationship,
Mhm.
and how it affects their day-to-day routine. So basically, your standard story of life interacting with itself and then eventually clashing. Dude, the acting in this was solid. I believed them at every moment. At points, I imagine I could just be looking through these people's windows.
Yeah, I thought the chemistry was there. One of them in particular was smoking, smoking hot. But
I know Grandma was nice.
and they were serious babes. But yeah, no,
She had
I
that
totally.
babushka on, man. One of those knee socks.
I totally believed them. It did feel very normal to me, and near the end of the film, I remember thinking, if this had come out 20 years ago, this would have probably been like would have been doing backflips. But it seems, and not in a bad way, just like wow, you know. But it seemed very. It seemed like a very simple film about two normal people living normal lives. It was never a big deal. That they were lesbians, and their families didn't care. Their family was just like, I didn't like her.
Well, I really like that
you know.
part though. It's just like, I mean, the family was in there specifically to represent the voice of bigotry. Of you're just going through a phase.
Right.
Granted, it's been a 20-year phase, but yeah, we'll introduce you to a nice boy now that you're having troubles with this woman that you've been experimenting with for most of your life. You know, and the whole thing is they're there to be that voice of not everyone is going to be accepting.
Right.
But with the actual couple themselves, it just seemed like, what I love is they didn't sensationalize it.
Not at
You
all.
know, it
Not
wasn't
at
just
all.
like look at these babes kissing each other, they're hot.
Right.
Or look at these gross lesbians. Or look at these women who are proud and wearing flannel every day. No, they're just women. They have jobs, they have lives,
Right.
they're normal people.
It's a normal thing, which it should
Very
be.
normal.
Exactly. If the story didn't revolve around the relationship specifically, you probably never have any idea. It was just, this woman had trouble with her car. End of movie. Wow, that was weird, you know?
And even though they didn't have kids living with them, I just felt like they're such moms.
Yeah, they had kids.
You know what I mean?
They behaved,
Yeah.
That goes into the acting too, dude. The performance was spot on.
Yeah.
And that's something I love to see in smaller films, because you'd think a smaller film, these are just actors who really, they have no experience, they just really needed to break out and they're going to go in and half-ass it. No, these were established people. They were older and really carried themselves.
Mhm.
And at no point was I taken out of this.
No, I wasn't. I was very invested. I thought that again, I personally think with any films about relationships, but romantic relationships with people, you have to believe the chemistry. And the whole time it felt like you believed that they were in a relationship for, I think it was 5-6 years in the movie.
It was 5 years in the movie. Actually, maybe 6 years. It was 5 years they've been living together.
That's what it was. Yeah. 5-6. Yeah. And I totally believed it. And I didn't expect the movie to be I didn't mind that the film wasn't this super crazy unpredictable story. It seemed like just watching two people go through like you walk into a relationship that's already been established. They have this big hiccup, gigantic hiccup, or like breakup, and then they end up kind of just going through the normal romantic movie route.
Yeah, there was a lot of parts written in where one has to accept the other one and make accommodations for the other one's quirks. You know, at times it was cute. We'll get a couple that, they're in the elevator, they're playing that little game. That's adorable. And then at times it was like, really, you're doing this? Because one, it's like, she seems kind of ashamed of her relationship in public with her family.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that was the point.
Yeah,
that I was making. It's just like, that's realistic. I know people who live in both those worlds. I know couples whose worlds cross over, to the point where the cutesiness gets sickening, and the shame is like, look, you know who you are. We know who you are. Just be. and it's just like I got that from them. I will say also, I enjoyed this movie. I'm just gonna come out and say it. My review here is positive, but the story was on some bullshit. All right, I mean, I'd never there was a little too much forgiveness and hey, I can't live without you type stuff in this. I'm like, yo, you get wronged by somebody, you want blood.
Right.
I wanted her, first of all. It's a situation where one of the main characters confronts the main, unintentionally but still unintentional, but main antagonist.
Mhm.
He doesn't know that he's caused some stuff, but when she finds him, I wanted her to just come back with it and boom, just
Right.
Sugar Ray Leonard this sucker.
Right.
Just wind up and just come back with it from Japan to California, just kakoosh. And that didn't happen.
So you're saying it's like natural, but almost like
It-
subdued, or like what I mean? Like
Too subdued. That's film.
It felt like a movie during those parts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was like the most it just felt very it felt like seeing the film. You didn't know who was the more, I guess, dominant character and who wasn't. It just felt like
That actually, I felt there was a switch over.
yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which was good, but other parts of it just felt like this could have typically been like a Hollywood, like a super low budget Hollywood film or something on certain parts.
Because I'm like, I feel that they could have gone a little more extreme. I think they played it safe there. I think that was probably in a first draft of the script.
But do you think that's more realistic, going to the more extremes? Yeah.
Definitely, dude. Okay. I want to feel that emotion.
Right.
This movie was all about emotion, and I felt when it really should have come to a head, they reined it in.
But you don't think that's your emotion, dictating what it could have been opposed to theirs?
When you're talking about the level of passion that they try to display in several scenes, the only natural thing, when she broke down in the car, I was like, okay, now the second she gets out and she sees her again, and she's gonna see the other one again, it's gonna be fur is gonna fly. And this one, it was more. The reaction is more like, how could you do this to me? When it should have been, bitch, And I was waiting for it. I was like, there's gonna be one backhand, but it didn't happen.
Pat was waiting for the cat fight.
Yeah,
not even a cat fight,
the just obligatory cat fight.
Just I'm like, okay, the reactions are really leading into each other, which is good because they're ramping up naturally. Mm-hmm. But then I figured they'd ramp up naturally and realistically, and I felt it wasn't realistic towards those higher points.
I do agree with you though that I was surprised that it did hit a little close to home a couple times. When I was watching it, I was like, wow, I didn't expect to relate to this movie as much as I would have.
I know, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean. So I was like, oh wow, okay, this is I think it's it's to give props to the acting. The two main actresses, they did an awesome job, and
Dude, I would highly recommend anybody check out this movie.
So you're saying two straight males can go into this movie and actually relate to two women being in love and having a fight?
You would relate to? Yeah, of course you would. Yeah, I think so.
That is actually what happened here.
Probably could be the point. Yeah. Who knows?
All right, so the movie stars Sabrina Ferilli. These are Italian names, so bear with me. Sabrina Ferilli, Margherita Bai, Alessia Barea, Ennio Fantasticini, Domenico Dale, Fausto. Look, the movie's called Me, Myself, and Her. Okay, Google it. You're golden. I recommend it. I enjoyed this sucker.
I recommend it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun little, cute little movie. I wish it was on Netflix or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
It feels like one of those good little Saturday night movies. You kick it in your living room and you just watch it. It's cute.
Well, as of right now, you can check it out online. It'll play at a few other places too, I'm sure of it. We caught it on Vimeo.
Yes.
But keep an eye out for it. Me, Myself, and Her. Approval. All right, so that wasn't the only picture we got to check. Well, folks got to check out. You all got to check out another little ditty as well. Is that correct?
Yes. I saw We saw Aspergers Are Us.
Aspergers. Absolutely, yeah. This guy, what's it, Alec Lehman is the guy that directed this. I think I don't think he has a director's credit under his name, but I believe
just one.
Really, yeah, he did was it some TV and stuff like that. He was like a cinematographer or something like that, like Project Runway. I believed he did stuff like that, right?
Oh, I just looked up his directorial stuff. He has a movie after this called Blue Jay.
Oh, gotcha.
with
I
Sarah
gotcha.
Paulson. I think Sarah Paulson's in it.
This one was good. I mean, this followed it was 4 people with Asperger's, as the title suggests. This guy Noah, this guy Michael, Jack, and Ethan, and they're a comedy troupe. And they're from like right around here in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the film, you get to watch them like riding the train. You get to watch them like going around to the different clubs in Boston. And it's just kind of this local thing, which is great.
You get to watch them get hustled by kids trying to sell candy bars on the T.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I think this, I think it premiered at South by Southwest this past year. Yeah, and then then came out at the Somerville Theater, I think, publicly.
Did it?
Past
Okay.
year, yeah.
Okay, and I think Netflix picked it up too.
Yes. And so this is kind of leading up. It's a documentary about this, like I said, this Asperger's group that they're a comedy troupe, and then it's leading up to their final show together, and they're gonna have this tour during the summer, and it's about how they.
One of them was going to. Not really.
No.
Okay.
One of them got accepted to Oxford.
Yeah, so one of them's leaving, and they're kind of breaking up. So it's kind of like this like tight knit group, and obviously they're very, it's a unique group given that the fact that they all have this, this disease, and one of them's leaving, and so they're kind of like it, and it plays into the thing where it's just like them leading up to their last show is going to give them a lot of publicity, and then they're going to break up after when they're at their like most able to get more work. So it's kind of this this awkward thing.
That's kind of like a Hendrix.
Yeah. So
I mean, in a happier way than Hendrix went.
right. But I mean, I think if this movie is about anything, it's about obviously how this group of people with this disease are all unique people. They're all bring something different to the group, and how it goes against how you would probably classify them. They're like, oh, well, people with Asperger's all have this. They're all like this. You know what I mean? You kind of group them together as being one thing.
Right.
But in fact, they're all individuals. They're all unique. They all bring something else. And so that's what this movie shows, where it's just like, hey, all these people are this. All these people are this. In fact, they're all a lot of things. They're all very different. And that's what I thought this movie did very well. And I mean, the comedy wasn't for me particularly. You know what I mean? A lot of it was puns. A lot of it was the one-liners and stuff like that. But
puns.
they were very I mean, they were very enthusiastic. You know what I mean? There were some interesting cats in this movie. So
to add to your point about all of them being different, one of them, there was a really good quote in it where one of the gentlemen who I guess was kind of like their counselor, he said. I think he said an old professor has said, if you know someone with Asperger's, you know one person with Asperger's.
Right.
Which is awesome, because it's like it's like saying one doesn't mean you know them all. They're all different, and they can all be on different points of the spectrum. And personally speaking, I went to Suffolk, so I knew a lot of like improv folks. And it's not my full cup of tea, but I love improv, and I thought each of them were like that new Michael kid. Whoa, that dude was really funny.
Yeah, one of them calls himself was New Michael because his father was Old Michael.
His father,
so he calls himself New Michael. And the other one, guys, Noah. He's a camp. They all met at like a summer camp.
Yes,
and they all met at camp. And one of them, the guys in the troop, is named Noah. Was the camp counselor, and he's also like a psych professor as well. And the other one went there. But yeah, the other one is New Michael. Yeah,
New Michael.
He was replaced by Pinsky.
Well, his middle name is Aaron, and I guess that's what he went by pretty much all his life. And when he was 18 years old, he decided to no longer go by Aaron, because his first name is Michael, but he said, I'm just gonna be New Michael. And I thought there was something wrong with how they wrote it, because it wrote New Michael. So I was like, why are they writing it like that? And then when he went into the story, but every chance he had, he was just, I thought he was hilarious. They were all very witty. I loved how it was shot too. Like it was like
like I said, the director he comes from like a cinematography background, so you expect this movie to be shot well, very the shots are very well composed and everything like that. And so they did. You're right. It brought some very good scenes and very good shots that way, and that's what you would expect from a guy that has that background. What I liked about it a lot was watching them write jokes, watching them kind of argue with each other. You know what I mean? And what you expect, and at least what you know about Aspergers is, they can kind of get in their own heads and they can kind of like drive themselves a little crazy, you know what I mean? Being very particular, very, very specific, and you see how that comes out in their personalities, and they drive each other crazy. You know what I mean? They, it's this kind of very this personal thing they're all dealing with, but they're trying to go through it together, and
like a shared challenge with their personal thing that they can relate to, but also the shared challenge of this final show and and like doing this troupe and stuff,
Yeah, no. So it was very interesting. I have a friend that has Asperger's and everything like that, and it kind of made me think of him, which is also good.
Absolutely.
He's a very interesting guy.
Why don't you laugh his comedy?
He is a funny dude, but yeah.
They were. I thought they were funny.
He was great. So this is
rigid critic Adam Willis.
Yeah, so this is something you got to check out. This is like I said, it's a bunch of Boston guys. You know what I mean? They're local. I think they one of them teaches at like Bunker Hill, right? Was it Bunker Hill?
I think it's Bunker Hill. I know Noah. Noah actually went to BU with my old roommate.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So I remember him from a while ago.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But which I didn't expect. I didn't expect to see him in the film. So when I saw him, I was like, I think I know that guy.
Yeah, I think they perform at like the Improv Asylum. You know what I mean? They're like very local.
Improv Boston.
Improv Boston.
Yes,
So it's check these guys out, man. It's fun. I don't know if they're still doing it. You know what I mean? I haven't really see where they're at like now, because obviously this movie came out like earlier in the year, and it was about like the summer when they were doing that show, but. I'm sure they're kicking around, doing stuff.
Well,
so.
The troupe is called Aspergers Are Us.
Yes,
and so
that's what they call themselves. Yes,
and so
the film is named after the troupe, and it's
produced by the Duplass brothers.
Yes, exactly.
Who do a lot of like really like
transparent.
Big independent movies and things
chair.
like that. Puffy chair.
It's a good story about friendship.
Right.
Mostly knowing because it was local. That's the part. That's the detail that so they specifically left out of the material. When I check this out.
Well, you can see it when they're riding like the Orange Line in. You know what I mean? You see that and stuff like that. They're walking around like downtown Boston. You recognize all that stuff. But
I feel like I'll be in the background of a shot, unknowingly picking my nose.
Probably, yeah. Calling somebody, doing something stupid.
Not that extreme.
Yeah.
It's over there, trying to return soup. All right, so Aspergers Are Us. See the official recommendation.
Absolutely, sure, yeah.
Absolutely recommend it. I thought it was very fun. It was a good movie, man.
Yep, absolutely.
Solid.
Yeah, very inspirational.
All right, now I'll look across the table at our resident vigilante. I want to hear about Batman, a Telltale series. Now, this is actually the closer. We did a part one early this year. Dirty D, Derek himself. Did a cover it on the first two episodes. But Johnny, you got to see the full experience. You got to be the Bat.
Well, almost the full experience.
You got to almost be the Bat. You got to be the Nightwing.
The final episode wasn't available yet.
What?
So episode 5, so it's a 5-part series. The 5th episode is not released yet. It's not unlocked.
But now we'll never know whose father Talia's baby.
Yeah, well, so I played through episodes 1 through 4. Did it this past weekend. Kind of plowed through it. But, I mean, so if you're familiar with Telltale and the games that they produce a large number of games. They're most known for their Walking Dead, The Walking Dead Season 2, that Wolf one.
Yes.
The Wolf Among Us.
That's the game based off of the Fables comic series.
Yep.
That was big, and that was one of the biggest parts about that is that was what made Telltale, mostly made Telltale what it is today. Before they did The Wolf Among Us, which is mostly drama, not entirely. They did a lot of comedy.
Actually, the Walking Dead came out before
did it?
Wolf Among Us. It did, and that was actually what put them on the map. Wolf Among Us came after that. I think the end of Wolf Among Us hit when the Walking Dead Season 2 from Telltale started to release. So, but it's
But they used to do
100% certain on this because before then they did stuff like Back to the Future. They did a Jurassic Park, which is
they're
terrible.
They're not great. They're not great. They didn't. I mean, and I don't think it's their fault. They looked amazing, but their writing was shitty. They tried to force some comedy. It was very unimpressive. That's as much as I can say. I'm trying to be nice here.
So the Telltale games,
Trying to be nice, but it's
they're all
all right. You know what I'm saying.
they're all the same style of games, and that is they play homage to the older adventure games of yore. Things like the Day of the Tentacle and
think more
Monkey Island.
Exactly. Grim Fandango.
Yeah.
Although again, they moved away from that whole half comedy business that they were known for.
Right.
That they kind of sucked for.
All right. And for their games, for Telltale's games, they focus more on the story itself. So with other adventure games, there's a lot of puzzle elements, and there's a lot of the player sort of figuring out how to proceed to the next scene. With the Telltale games, it's that level of complexity is very much simplified. The puzzles that you're going to encounter in any of their games is going to be very streamlined, very straightforward, requiring very little thought. But what you get in return is you're able to make decisions within the story that will end up changing the story that you are experiencing throughout the remaining episodes. So you'll make a decision in one episode, and you'll see the repercussions of that either during that same episode or in future episodes that are coming up, eventually leading into this sort of fine-tuned story that is catered for you. Because of the choices that you made.
Now, man. Tell me, how did you mess up Gotham?
How did I mess up Gotham? Well, Gotham was already kind of messing itself up.
You got Batman Snatch versus
So you play as Bruce Wayne.
Jaywalker breaks his legs.
You play as Bruce Wayne, and it's sort of, you have to kind of take a lot of the stuff that you know. If you're a fan of Batman, you have to sort of take a lot of the stuff you know and sort of unforget it. Somewhat, because they do sort of take liberties with the story as far as what the characters look like and sort of what their relationships are with one another.
That's why Batman was a 4-foot-tall Asian woman. I was wondering about that. The art was very misleading.
So like Oswald Copperpot, like his
1970s pin. It's like Morgan Freeman.
His character is portrayed as like this Cockney English.
Oh, they went more more like the Gotham TV show, like Gruff Alfred.
Gruff Alfred.
Alfred was more of like a military background.
I was talking about Oswald, Penguin.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were talking about Alfred, just like, all right, Master Bruce, man up.
And things like, I don't know if this is true, so I'm not a comic book person, so I don't know if this is true or not, but it felt like. Well, it felt like this wasn't true. That correct me if I'm wrong. Is Two-Face?
Sorry, that's very wrong.
Two-Face isn't like buddy with Batman from like childhood days, is he?
No, not from childhood. No, Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne were friendly before he became Two-Face.
Right. They have that in there, but in the story in the Telltale series, they are sort of childhood friends.
Okay, that's
or at least college friends.
That's them taking liberties.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll encounter stuff like that, and you're playing through, and you're presented with different scenes, and in each of these scenes, it usually ends up with a series of dialogue choices, very much like Mass Effect or Dragon Age or Fallout 4, where you get this little wheel of decisions that you can make, and depending on the responses, the dialogue responses that you're making, that's going to change up the conversation and change up the scene as you're watching it, because the characters will then respond in a different way. And then
more of an RPG then.
It's more of a role playing. I would take the game part and sort of kind of throw that out the window, because this isn't really a game. It's more of an interactive story.
Okay, you're describing a book.
Right. There's no real like gameplay with these Telltale games. There are some instances where you can move your character around in these scenes and control them, but they walk like a tank almost. They're super slow, and it's a little stiff in the animation and a lot of things like that. All right, so I'm going to go off on a little tangent on Telltale and their engine that they've been using for like, I don't know, probably maybe like 10 years now or something like that. That engine is dated. It's old. It is, they need to like revamp everything. Maybe they already did it. And the new one that they have for this one, which is, by the way, the best version of their game engine that I've seen so far, it's still like almost garbage.
Damn, all right.
Well, there's
Let us know how you really feel, Sean.
He
there's
said it's garbage.
yeah. There's like one of the episodes with one of the climactic scenes. There's the frame rate, and so this is an interactive story game, right? So any interruption to the presentation of the story is essentially affecting your gameplay and affecting everything overall, because you're losing your immersion into this story playing out in front of you. And one of these scenes, the frame rate dropped to like the single digits. And now my machine, my PC, which I played this on, is super high end. It should not have skipped frames at all. And it was in the single digits, and I'm watching like the characters sort of chug, the whole image start to chug as I'm watching it.
Higher than you thought.
Well,
You're rocking 1080p. We're on 4K now, man. What's going on?
It even affected some of my choices as I'm making them. It seemed like the scene itself, the dialogue skipped, and I missed out on a chunk of dialogue that I could have made a decision on.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about something like, okay, well, I could save this guy, take him to jail, let him live, and do the right thing, but that'll cause my system to skip. So I'm just gonna drop him off a building.
Well, yeah, something like that actually kind of happened to me. Well, I don't know what I missed out on. That's the thing. I don't know what I missed out on.
you missed out on saving a life, apparently.
But there were decisions. There was and
it's like, and you stole a candy bar. Drop off a building.
So that's their engine. Now the artwork looks really good. I'm not gonna knock the artwork, but the engine itself, the low frame rate, the scene skipping that's been happening, objects popping in and out into like entire characters, like the camera changes angles, and there's one character and no character, and then like a second later there's the other character. They just pop right in, in front of the camera.
Better than this. I played last Telltale game I played. It's been a while. Was Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and that was damn fun and also animated fluidly. You're saying that's the main hindrance for it.
So I mean, there's animation there, but I wouldn't say it doesn't look like they animated this one in particular, and I've played through The Walking Dead and stuff like that, and seem on par with that as far as animation work. I did not. I mean, after that. The animations are not motion capped. They're all hand sort of animated by hand, if you will, instead of being full-blown motion cap and all that. So it is like dated animation work. So there are things that they could definitely improve on using technology that a lot of other places are using, but they're not. I don't know why that is, or maybe they are, and just the engine is holding it back. I'm not sure what the holdup is, but the animations could absolutely be better, because there was this one funny scene where one of the characters, she was talking, but her lips were not moving at all. So her lips were actually shut. She was like completely like puppeteering for me.
She said those mime skills. That's all that was. She's throwing her voice for your music.
She was throwing her voice, yeah.
To both the game and a puppet show.
I was impressed. Yeah, absolutely impressed with that.
Batman, I'm going to show you my voice. That plant is talking.
Yeah. Now, probably the biggest pet peeve I have with this game is that it's entirely based on the decisions you're making within the story and catering the story towards how you want it to play out. The biggest problem I have is that they give you a timer when you're making these decisions, and this is not like a very forgiving timer. This is like you have 10 seconds to decide, and you have 4 choices to make, and some of these take a little bit of thought and very quick reading in order to get through, so that you're choosing the right option, and you end up getting rushed, and you end up making a hasty decision, and you're playing as Batman. Batman's a genius. All right.
I like the sound of that though, because I mean, I think of playing games. You mentioned Mass Effect earlier. I think of playing games like Mass Effect, where
Mass
like,
Effect.
you ever played Mass Effect?
You gave me your copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you play it?
I did.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember Mass
Great
Effect.
games. Where I'll spend like minutes
Mhm.
making a single decision, only because, well, what about this? And the thing is, in the moment, that's great. I'm like, okay, I made the decision, and now we play on. In retrospect, I'm like, that made it really unrealistic. And also, like, slowed up my gameplay, where it's like, I've got 10 seconds, okay, I gotta make the decision. Just do it, go! And then, just do it, go! And also, I found, when I got used to taking all that time, there were other aspects of the game that were quick action that I was missing because of that. You know, with Mass Effect specifically, when you have the Paragon and
Renegade, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, well, not Mass
Renegade
Effect.
options.
Fear Effect. That's what I'm thinking of.
Wow.
Sorry.
Way back.
That's
Fear
a very
Effect.
different game.
Yes. It just hit me.
Okay, I gotta get you Mass Effect then. Mass Effect is the shoes.
Okay. All right.
The whole
But,
trilogy.
All right.
It's really good.
I'm
Quadrilogy
done.
now, the new one's gonna. Well, okay.
Andromeda?
For another
Yeah.
time, yes.
Oh yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. That looks. Yeah. Sorry. That looks insane. Sorry.
No,
No,
and
I'll
play
press
as FemShep. She's way better in male Shep.
Johnny just likes checking out her butt as he plays.
The voice actress was
Nice
way better.
butt
I'm sorry.
cheeks.
I like the dude.
Phenomenal.
I made him a Latin dude for the middle one. He was just like this weird, hey, I see. And I'm like, that's a little racist. Let me just make him. They made him brother for third one. It was like, I made Keith David with like white hair. It was
Keith David.
Hell yeah.
My
I
point.
love
What I'm
that
saying
guy.
is the 10-second timer seems like it would speed gameplay along, make it more realistic. And I mean, you're right. You're Batman, and maybe like, I didn't get to read all the options. Things like, but you have to make snap decisions. It's more Batman-esque. I think that would put players more into the role. I think, in theory at least, and I haven't played it. In theory, that's something I would like.
I think what would work best if maybe there was a way for the player to sort of choose whether they wanted to take their time or be rushed. Also, there's contextual situations within the story where the player can take a while to provide a response. Not a huge amount of time, but they can take more than 10 seconds to sort of come up with, they're not being rushed in the storyline. So there's instances of that. But it rubbed me the wrong way because there was this one scene with a stupid cat in an apartment that ended up ruining how I wanted that scene to play out or how I was anticipating it would play out, and it completely ruined it because I took too long because
I could do. Yeah, so you'll touch your pussy. So they gave you with a timer.
Now it's just a blue hedgehog swimming with the fishes.
All right, so would you recommend this game? 'Cause it
No.
No.
I would not. I would. All right. So here's. Do you like QuickTime events? If you like QuickTime events, then this is the game for you. If you hate QuickTime events, which most gamers, I hope do.
I do not.
Then stay clear of this game. You can play the entire game through YouTube. So I would recommend playing the game through YouTube or watching someone else do it through Twitch because you're not. For the $25 that they're asking for it, it's not worth it. Maybe if it's on an exceptional sale on Steam or on PlayStation Network or on the Xbox Store, then you can do that. Otherwise, avoid it. It's not Telltale's best work, and the written story, is just rubbish. And a lot of the characters are throwaway.
Harsh
Rubbish.
critiques from Just Johnny. Thank you very much.
Their own spin on some of these iconic characters. It's not good.
All right, that's dangerous, man.
Garbage sauce.
All right, well, thank you for breaking it down. That was Just Johnny hating.
Hating. He's giving an honest review.
Man, would you say honest? I
Let
say
him know, Johnny.
hardcore.
Let them know, man. If they're not, these goofy dudes got billions of dollars. If they ain't making the right games, man, let them know what time it is.
I got teeth, man.
Yeah, let them know, man. Show them that you got teeth, man. Smile at 'em.
Okay, both of y'all are wrong. You know what I say to that? No, I'm not going to. I was going to play the thing again.
But I do like QuickTime events, so shout out to QuickTime events. But
What?
All
I'm
right,
sorry.
hey, fellas. All right, we have to wrap up. Okay, let's do it. Okay, thank you. All right, this has been the shut up. Stop it. This has been the Geek Down here on WEMF. I want to thank you all for listening for another action-packed, fun-filled show.
How the hell do you have that on hand?
I'm nice. Want to turn to my left and give a quick pound to my homeboy, Black Adam Willis.
Yes, sir.
My man. All right, look across the table at Kaiser Soze.
Pat, thank you. Adam, thank you. Johnny, thank you.
Yeah.
Man, thank you for coming and joining us.
Always a pleasure.
Look out for this man. He drink your milkshake. All right. And we'll say thank you to just Johnny.
Hey, thank you for this hot chocolate. It was delicious.
Oh,
And-
yeah, good looking out, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo.
Peoples.
Yo.
All right. And of course, DJ Herbie Herb.
Goodbye.
Wait, was that not you the first time on the hello? That was okay. All right.
You're trying to show me up with what's going on here, man.
I was about to say if you duped me, man.
All right. So I want to thank you all for joining us. Like I said, you can catch us here on WEMFradio.com every Monday night, 9 p.m. Or if you heard anything you wanted to chime in on this episode, you can hit us up at geekdownradio@gmail.com, or also hit us up on the website, geek-down.com. Also, if you go to our show page on WEMFradio.com, you can get all the social medias, but we're on SoundCloud.com/geekdown. We're on Instagram/geekdown. YouTube.com/geekdown. Look up Geek Down on iTunes. We're all over the spectrum. And we are also on... Damn it, I'm forgetting one. There's always one that goes under the radar. But it's okay, because you can hear us again, our lovely dulcet tones, next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, and hopefully you'll join us. Until then, be excellent to each other. Peace.
Peace. No, actually, not.